The Kiwanis Club of Olympia has been a premier service club in this community for almost 100 years. Looking back, it's hard to imagine Olympia without the Kiwanis Club. So let's take a brief look back at the impact of our first 3 decades of service and then see where we are today. From its inception, our club has had a dramatic impact on this community. In the 1920s, during our first decade, we built a home for widows, provided furniture for the Kiwanis Room in St. Peter's Hospital, and erected lighted pillars at the entrance of Olympia. In the 1930s, during the Great Depression, our club paid for hot lunches for every grade and high school student who couldn't afford to buy one, paid for dental work and surgeries for needy children, and provided clothing and shoes for kids in need. In the 1940s, during World War II, Olympia's Kiwanians sold an astonishing $500,000 in war bonds, the equivalent of $7 million today. Built a dormitory for servicemen, assisted farmers with their harvests, provided holiday dinners for servicemen, and started college scholarships for Olympia high school students, an effort which continues today. Olympia Kiwanians met the critical needs of those turbulent times. So what critical community services are we providing today? Food insecurity is a big problem in this county. With 25% of kids living in poverty, many do not get an adequate amount of food, and the food that they do receive often lacks nutrition. To help solve that problem, the Kiwanis Club started a large garden to produce fresh, organic vegetables for the Thurston County Food Bank. We now have 3 gardens and produce an incredible 35,000 pounds of fresh vegetables every year. From our earliest days, our club focused on helping young people in this community. In America today, many young people are not learning to give back to their communities. We respond by sponsoring Kiwanis Key Clubs at Olympia and Capital High Schools to teach community service, leadership, and provide opportunities for students to impact their community. In this time of high college tuitions and skyrocketing college debt, our club stepped up to provide 10 scholarships to students from Olympia and Capital High Schools, not necessarily all Key Club members, but all deserving young people with a passion for service and achievement. Sadly, there are people in our community who can't afford to heat their homes. This is particularly true with the poor elderly. Some use wood stoves or even fireplaces for heat, but dry seasoned firewood is also expensive. Collecting donated wood, splitting, stacking it to dry, and then delivering it are time-consuming, strenuous jobs. Kiwanis volunteers do it every week, year-round, ensuring as many as 100 cords of firewoods make it to families who simply need a warm home. I jokingly say this is the Kiwanis CrossFit gym. We get it's free for all comers, and we basically split wood, we stack it and season it, we deliver it, and we collect trees too from donations around the county to turn into firewood. It's a firewood bank. We provide warmth for families, and we'll bring anywhere from 75 to 90 cords of firewood out to families around Thurston, Mason, and Lewis County through the heating months. And then we work all year long to split and stack and get the wood seasoned so that it's ready for next year. During this kind of exceptionally rough winter in January into February, especially with the snow and the power outages, we got a lot of calls for wood. A lot of people that were already on the margin of not maybe being able to pay their electric bill to keep their home warm, and then when it was completely off, they were left without any options, except if they had a wood stove or a small fireplace, we were able to get them wood.
We had heard that there was going to be some snow, and at first I wasn't too worried about it. But then we had no power for 2 weeks in my house. Because I'm disabled, my immune system is a little funky, and I get pneumonia when there's no power. So this year, it didn't happen, thankfully, because this year I got delivered, I think, 2 cords of wood that I could use in my new fireplace. I used it to cook, I used it for heat, I slept by it. It kept me warm for the whole 2 weeks. All my neighbors were not happy with me because I was the only person with heat in the entire apartment complex. It was amazing.
The real important part for me is when we get to deliver it to people and we see the people that we're actually helping. But it's a great, real direct community service that Kiwanis Club of Olympia does. I'm a retired Air Force colonel, and so my whole adult life has really been about service. This was a great way that once I retired from the service that I could continue to serve my community a little more local. So Kiwanis has really filled that need for me to be able to give back to my community. Where community service is needed, Olympia Kiwanians are there to give back. Whether providing water to runners at the Capital City Marathon, recognizing outstanding law enforcement officers, donating to the Pacific Northwest's Kiwanis Children's Cancer Fund, or helping run the State Patrol's law enforcement camp, Kiwanians are there making a difference. Our club also provides annual grants to other impactful, youth-focused nonprofits serving children in and around Olympia. Last year, we partnered with the organization Help Us Move In, the Boys and Girls Club of Thurston County, and the South Sound YMCA. As I mentioned, the Kiwanis Club of Olympia has been a premier service club in this community. But what difference would it make if the Olympia Kiwanis Club didn't exist? How many families would go without high-quality fresh produce? How many of our neighbors would be without a warm home? How many kids would only dream about going to college or technical school? Well, fortunately, our club does exist. I hope this program gives you a glimpse of the widespread, dramatic difference we make. But what about its future? While other service clubs have faded away, the Olympia Kiwanis Club remains active and engaged. But we can't do it alone. So join us as we set course on the next 100 years of serving our community, empowering our youth, and making Olympia a better place to live. Feel free to chat with your table captain about how you can become a part of this exciting work. We welcome your contribution to building this legacy. Thank you.